rice cookers. In today's episode, I'm going to be getting rid of the SRS steering wheel and the SRS for the passenger side and replacing them with a OEM optional fitment upper glove box on the passenger side and the OEM non-airbag steering wheel. We'll also be looking at the differences between the 96 Mark 1 from Japan and the Mark 1 or RD2 facelift you guys get in America and Europe. These things are kind of important, especially when it comes to installing a manual setup or a kswap because of where the handbrake placement is and a few other bits and pieces, but we'll get to that later. First up, let's have a look at the parts that are going in and where they're going. So this is the non-airbag 96 spec steering wheel. Pretty similar to the other ones apart from having the orange logo there. This is the SRS upper dash compartment replacement. Obviously it goes on the passenger side on a right-hand drive car, so don't know if the swap works for a left-hand drive just because of the shape of this. Not sure. But these parts were kindly provided by Damo the Kiwi. You might know him on the Facebook groups for the rd1. He's even thrown in a nice little bag with the hardware. So if you guys need any bits for a CRV, I'd definitely be looking on the worldwide Facebook groups for him. So obviously this gets replaced. As you can see, there's a bit of a difference, but the real interesting part is up here. So this airbag unit will get replaced by that upper compartment, which will open for a bit of extra storage. Before doing anything with an airbag system, you definitely want to disconnect the battery. Move these plastic trims. There's one on either side and one underneath. And that'll give you access to the airbag plug. Mine's already unplugged, but you just unplug that and then your airbag is now disconnected. And I'll move on to these Torx screws up here. Move on to the other side, same thing. And then you got a Torx bit in my case, which is a T30. Once you've got both screws on either side, you should be able to remove the airbag and disconnect the horn switch like that. There we go, whole unit. Obviously you want to make sure your steering wheel is straight before you start this. Makes life a little easier when putting the new one on because you just have to line it up straight. It's going to need alignment anyway once all this is done. I mean, like the engine swap and all the upgrades. Alright, let's see what size this is and remove it. In my case it's a 14mm. Slap the ugger on it, see what happens. This should slide off, but the spline might need some encouragement. Looks like this is going to have to come apart. Okay, so to get this apart, there's two screws right here. And there might be another one somewhere else, but we'll start with that. One more down the bottom. Okay, with that loosened, got access to another Phillips here and another Phillips here. That should be the horn, that red one. Normally you'd have a tab here or here possibly, and this red wire would be attached to it. And that little, it would run along the back side of the steering wheel for the horn. Now I need to prep this steering wheel for going in, and there's a screw right on the bottom. There we go. Now for some reason the horn cable's been cut, which wasn't really necessary because you can just pull it off from here, but whatever. Okay, gonna have to fix that. Well, let's go see how this lines up in the car. Okay, and the horn wire is going to line up pretty much right under that. First thing for this new steering wheel, I need to repair this wire. Just remove that. And the same on this side. And I'll be able to hook it back up to this tab. Now we need to turn the spring into something that can be used to run along the inside of the steering wheel to make contact for the horn. If I bend that around, I should be able to use it to put a screw through. Gonna need bigger pliers. There we go, got kind of a hook going there. Cool. Starting to get somewhere. Okay, so here's the plan. This is going to go on the back of the steering column where the indicator is, and it will be held in place by a screw, and that screw will also go through this piece of wiring I've got. So it'll be something like that. This will go to the horn wire. This will have to be cut and angled so that it's constantly touching on the back of this. And it should have enough spring in it that there's no issues and we have a horn circuit. Strip that and put this terminal on it. Now eventually I'll have to remove all of this wiring. Now this will give a better representation of how this is all going together. That should go on there like that. That'll make contact with the copper ring so the horn will work. And then this will make contact with that. Solid plan, I guess. So that contact ring sits about 1 centimeter off of this plastic backing for the indicator switch, which puts it right about where this little line is here. So if I get a cable tie, that should kind of simulate the height that this wire needs to be. So it's pretty close. Okay. So I need to cut some excess off of this. That needs to be bent down a bit and below there. I think we'll try that. That should ride up against it when it turns. That's going to work perfect. And we'll test out the horn once I've got the other airbag disconnected and the battery plugged in. Next, we're underneath the glove box. I'm just gonna take out these bolts holding it in on the bottom. One on this side and one on this side. We can just slide the glove box away. Put that to the side. Okay, this is under the glove box where the airbag is. We've got Three 10 mils, one here, and one here. Now with those off, you should just be able to push out on the bottom like that. Well, that's unusual. So the airbag on the passenger side doesn't have a plug by the looks of this, which means that you've got to unplug it from behind the dash maybe. But I don't want this fucking thing, so I'll give it the snip. And that is the hole we're left with. Looks like I'm going to need a bolt for this one here, because that's where the Glovebox latch anchors to. Okay, I found a 10mm bolt in my stash that's going to work with the 10mm from the airbag. The underside of that bolt is just here. That's what holds this latch in place. See, it's got these little locking tabs at the front. The front two screws here are going to line up with existing screw holes. The back isn't, but that's pretty much it. Now we have a storage compartment instead of a airbag. Now I'll just take this out and put some screws through the back of it. Here's the brace I was talking about. Normally this brace would probably go to some sort of frame on the interior of the dash, but because mine had an airbag, that obviously isn't there. I'm going to screw some stuff into here anyway, just so it's got some leverage and doesn't flex. So I've got some of these little suckers here, which I'll put there, and that'll just give these screws something to actually grab onto. Okay, now that I've got these screws all through here, I'm just going to run a file over the back side of them so that you can't like catch wires in your hand and any other bullshit on the back of them. One there, one there. How about that? Cool. Just put these little plastic pieces on and she'll be done. No more airbag. Nice one. Right, put the battery on. Well, the horn isn't going non-stop, so that's usually a good sign. And there we go. Horn works. Now we just got to bolt the steering wheel on properly because it's not really on there yet, and all the trim. 14mm nut. And just on the bottom here is where a screw goes. It goes up through this little hole here to hold this in place. Right in there. Get that screwed in, and then that's it for the swap. While we're here, let's have a look at some differences between a 96 Mark 1 and the rd2 facelift that you see in America, Europe, that kind of stuff. Obviously we've done the Glovebox storage upgrade, but on the Japanese ones, the Mark 1s, the handbrake is right here. And the cables run down under the floor here, straight to the back. And on the Mark 2s, obviously, you don't have a tray like this that's attached to the seat. This moves with the seat, and you've got a handbrake that's on the floor. For this K24 and the manual all-wheel drive gearbox to go in here, we're going to have to install a clutch pedal. And on this rd1 96, you can see just down there, it needs to go right here. So the Japanese 96 still has the mounting point for a clutch pedal, but this metal pipe coming out of here is the handbrake cable. So for me to do the K-swap into here, I'm going to need this clutch master and this reservoir and all of this line to go over to there, and that means I have to change the handbrake on this. So this is a spare CRV that I have, and as you can see, it's got the handbrake on the floor, not in the dash, but funnily enough it still has the little OEM delete plug where the dash handbrake would be. And obviously the tray table is mounted to the floor instead of to the driver's seat, and the handbrake cables come out through here and then separate to the rear wheels. On this RD2, I've already swapped over the hubs. Unfortunately, I didn't document the process, but it's not going to make a lot of difference for most people because it's only the Japanese first gen that come with 4x1143 hubs, and the spline count on the axle I believe is 32 instead of 36. So I've already swapped those hubs. So this now has 5x1143, and it also has the largest splined axles. And that's important because when doing the K-swap, or most of the K-swap axles are the largest spline count. I mean, I could do custom or, you know, obviously an axle that suits an Integra, whatever, but doing it this way means that it uncomplicates things. So the next step for me in preparation for this K-swap is going to be to change to a floor-mounted cup holder system, maybe even change the seats over, I'm not sure yet, and changing this handbrake over to a floor one. So that's next. For anyone who hasn't seen this CRV in any of my earlier videos, this is a sunroof model, OEM fitment, Japan. It's got the big monsoon shields or weather shields for the windows. Got your chrome folding mirrors, Nerf bars, the OEM bull bars or nudge bars, they're fucking hardly bull bars, and obviously OEM roof rack, rear wang, got a bit of a wang going on, reversing mirror kind of thing. I guess it lets you see the toe ball, and when you're about to back into something you can kind of see it, I guess. Anyone who's interested in seeing more info on this and how to fit accessories, I've got 2 videos where I vinyl wrap this and completely strip the whole car's exterior parts to vinyl wrap, and we go over how to fit all of these OEM extras. Thanks for watching. Got a few small things still to do, which is just those like handbrake cables and stuff, and then we can move straight into the bigger jobs like removing this engine, putting the K-series in it, you know, all the fun stuff. So yeah, and be sure to subscribe because it helps me. Yeah, and let's go to the park. Yeah? Okay, let's go.
Later, bitches!